Devil May Cry.
Hi there, wanted to do a quick review of Devil May Cry 5 since I've been obsessively playing it over the last few days. So I actually never played much of the Devil May Cry series. It wasn't something I was interested in when I was younger. It was only recently I really understood what was so special about it. DMC is a series that wants you to feel good when fighting. It wants you to play out action scenes yourself that look like they're choreographed because they're so cool. I've seen Devil May Cry described as a single-player fighting game, and it's pretty apt as a description. So I actually started the series on DMC4 Special Edition, which has a ridiculous amount of content and depth. The short story mode is offset by 5 playable characters, with a ton of depth to each of them, and multiple difficulty modes. It was a game that was supposed to be played over and over, pushing yourself to do better, and more importantly, to be stylish. And now DMC5 is here 11 years later, and it takes those design philosophies and it supercharges them. Combat is the real star here. There are 3 playable characters and they each have their very unique and very enjoyable combat system. Yet all of them focus around letting you reach a mastery of the combat which looks incredible. Of the 3, first up is Nero, returning as the main thrust of the story from DMC4. Nero is probably the simplest to understand on the surface, but still difficult to master. Nero has many tricks up his sleeve. His sword can be charged by timing a button press after every swing, accessing new Exceed moves. He can also pull enemies towards him or pull himself towards larger enemies. He also has a new system in this one, the Devil Breakers. These are interchangeable robotic arms that give a new power or skill to Nero depending on what was equipped, but they're fragile. So get hit while you're using one and it will break and you'll have to equip the next one in your inventory. Of course you can also break them yourself in order to escape enemy attacks, or to unleash massive charged up attacks, which are unique to each arm. Nero gets some more stuff too as the game goes on, but I won't spoil that here. Next we have V. And V is a new character to the series, and he has a really weird fighting style by its standards. See, V himself is a weakling physically compared to the others, so instead he commands 3 demons at a distance to damage enemies, and he simply finishes them off. V felt very odd to me at first, but after a little while it begins to feel like Devil May Cry again, just an unusual version of it. Being near the action means you can heal your pets and finish off enemies, but being too far away is much safer, allowing you to charge your devil trigger and taunt for more style. So it's this fun balance of getting in and getting out of the combat. You also start to learn a few tricks for moving your familiars around and directing them efficiently, such as using your side dodge to recall Shadow, who's the cat, and your back dodge for Griffin, the bird. V grows on you both in combat and in personality throughout the game, so he's a welcome addition as far as I'm concerned. Finally, there's the man himself. Seasoned veteran Dante. Dante is introduced a bit later in the story, and for good reason. He has so much depth it's almost dizzying. You can take up to 4 melee weapons and 4 long-range weapons into a mission at once, some of which have multiple forms by the way, and each form has their own full moveset that's almost as large as Nero's sword moveset. You can then multiply that by each of Dante's 4 style changes, which unlocks new aspects of the character depending on which you have active. So switch to Swordmaster and it gives you new moves for every melee weapon. Switch to Gunslinger and you get new moves for each gun, as well as auto-charging for more damage. Trickster gives you a new range of movement options such as dashes and teleports. And Royal Guard lets you parry enemies, store the damage they would have inflicted and blast it back at them. He's overwhelming in many ways, but he's extremely fun to experiment with. Though I enjoy Nero's playstyle a little bit more for its flow, Dante is endlessly entertaining as a combo machine, and I can see myself spending a lot more time with him, becoming an expert if possible. If all the combat stuff was great, that would have been enough, but this game shines in many other ways too. The story is well done. While the plot isn't spectacular, the set pieces, the bosses, and the characters really are. Everyone is likable in this game. Newcomer Nico is over the top and she steals the show whenever she's on screen. I also warmed to V as time went on as well. He appears as this ultra edgy emo boy at first, but then you start to see he has a sense of humour and some depth to his character. and his gothic shtick is so in your face, it's like it's purposefully cheesy. And like everything else, the game doesn't take him too seriously. But that's not to say the story doesn't contain some somber moments, of course. There are some really emotionally driven scenes that work well despite the absurdity of everything around it. It's one of those narratives that knows when to be silly and knows when to shut up and get on with things. Not only that, but it goes to some really insane heights in terms of spectacle. I can't spoil things for you, as it would be a disservice to you and the game too, but there are some wildly cool events to the story that affect the gameplay immensely. Just when you think there can't be more to do, more experience or more to see, DMC5 busts out a brand new ability that ties into the story perfectly. I've mentioned before that I love it when the narrative of a game works in tandem with the gameplay, and we have that in spades here. There's this pseudo multiplayer element to the game too. While you're passing areas where the other characters would be, you can see other players fighting as them in the distance. It even shows a username of who is controlling them. There are even a few fights where you team up with them fully and fight together. It's a neat little addition, and I hope for a full-fledged co-op mode in the future, as the missions where you fight together are extremely cool. I should also probably mention that this game looks beautiful. You can probably see that. Well, beautifully disgusting in some places. We are climbing a demonic tree that feeds on human blood. But what I mean is the textures, the vistas, the facial animations, they all look incredible all the way through. Not only that, but the animations in combat flow better than ever before, all without sacrificing the frame rate. Some sort of technical sorcery going on to get this working. But I think it's safe to say that the RE engine is pretty darn great for DMC5. As for negatives, I haven't really got a lot to say. It is a shame to see Lady and Trish hanging around but not really doing much, and they're not playable either. It's a shame since I love playing as Lady so much in DMC4, but that's a minor gripe since there's so much here already, and having another 2 playable characters on top of that is asking a little much. They just don't seem to do a lot for the story, which is kind of a shame, but it is nice to see them included. This is approaching a near perfect game for me. At the time of this review, I have completed the game on Devil Hunter mode, which is the normal difficulty, and I'm about halfway through Son of Sparda, which is the hard mode. Next month, a free update will include the Bloody Palace mode, which is a challenge mode featured in the older games that pits you against waves of enemies. I'm crossing my fingers for a full co-op being included. I think I would lose my mind if that were true. So there it is. I love this game. You should go grab it if you want an intense, challenging and infinitely replayable action riot. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, check out the Discord, Twitter, Twitch, all that stuff. Thank you very much. I love you guys. I love your support. Oh, and I think I'll probably be streaming DMC5 soon, so go check out that. See you next time.